As becomes very obvious the more you watch projections and forecasts is that nobody can accurately tell the future. However, the more you study history, the more you recognize patterns, and one of those patterns is that the one who controls the means of production of the stuff that the world will always need, no matter what, is the one who will be able to continue to produce wealth no matter what.
If you're talking to a skeptic, just ask them to try and do something like transfer money from one country to another and see how archaic, see how outdated and expensive and slow that system is. And then say, look, you could try sending $100 from the US to Pakistan, and it might take days. And you can be absolutely certain of one thing, that $100 will not arrive in Pakistan. It will be minus hefty fees, whenever that might be. And then you can show them just how quickly and cheaply you can do it with crypto. The US government is at war with the crypto industry, and it is employing a sneaky new tactic to try and bring it down. It's become increasingly apparent over the last few months that the US administration, along with various other arms of the state, such as the Federal Reserve and the Justice Department, are targeting any banks that work with crypto companies, basically trying to cut crypto out of banking services. Now, this looks to be a resurrection of something called Operation Choke Point, which was a scheme launched back in the Obama era that aimed to try and cut industries that the government didn't like out of the banking sector. These included things like online poker and also payday lenders. It basically used the same tactic we're seeing here: lock them out of banking services and make it as difficult as possible for these industries to operate. And now they are using this to turn their focus onto crypto.
Well, they could also use things like central bank digital currencies. They could use social credit score system. And when you take all of that and put it together, the money, the movement, the social credit score system, you get some other things like, how about a carbon tracking system? How about you're only allowed to travel so much before your carbon score gets too high, so then you're cut off? How about you're only allowed to eat so much meat until your carbon score gets so high and you're cut off? How about you're only allowed to buy so many goods until your carbon score gets too high and they shut you off? Sound crazy? What if you want to buy more stuff? Well, you have money and you buy it. So rich people can buy more credits and they can keep living. Poor people, you get stuck in place. I know that sounds dystopian and you think I'm crazy. Let's hear directly from their mouth.
How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Learn as much as you can about economics and how the monetary system works, and you know that this whole thing is just a joke. It's just a scam that they are perpetrating on all of us. And it does need to come to an end, because if it doesn't come to an end, because of something we've done about it to prevent this from happening, it will come to an end very badly someday in the future.
So, what's the solution then? Well, easy. NFTs on trustless, decentralized, permissionless, and publicly viewable cryptocurrency blockchains. This solution makes the most sense because it would make it possible to preserve privacy online while verifying the authenticity of information online. Instead of having to complete KYC to use social media, you could just use it as you do now. All information you generate could be turned into NFTs, which only you control. This would make it easy to verify that any information about you came from you and not from someone else. From where I'm standing, authenticating and verifying information that's posted online will be the killer use case for NFTs. The only caveat is that the underlying blockchain must have the qualities I just mentioned a few moments ago. Otherwise, you might as well just scan your eyeball to post online. With some luck, the crypto industry will realize that fighting deepfakes with NFTs is the way to go before governments start exploring more dystopian methods.
Hello and welcome to the first installment of the Incubator Weekly. How are you today, Rion?
Doing great. Good to be in this discussion. These have been kind of a long time coming, so glad we're finally getting around to them.
As am I. Well, let's start with some introductions. Rion and I are co-hosts. My name is Amanda B. Johnson. I am a Dash fan, and I guess one of the newer contributors to the Dash Incubator, as this show itself is a bounty within the Incubator. Rion, how about you?
Background. So I was a mechanical engineer when I went to school. I did industrial energy efficiency consulting for probably about 10 years. And then once I discovered Bitcoin in 2013, went down that rabbit hole and haven't been able to get out since then. And I discovered Dash actually from you, Amanda. So this is kind of a nice little twist coming full circle here. Your daily decrypt show brought my attention to Dash and haven't left since. I continually look for the best projects in the cryptocurrency space and upcoming projects included. And, I would jump ship and I will jump ship if something comes that's better than Dash. But so far, this has been the best project and continues to be. So excited to be part of the incubator and and having these updates now.
And off the camera, but not out of our hearts, is my trusty manservant, Pete, who is running the background, I guess, shall we say, of these broadcasts. So that covers the introductions. And the next thing the first thing we want to talk about in this series in general is its purpose. Give a sort of verbal white paper. I found this bounty listed within the incubator's online materials, but it wasn't until I started talking to Rion about it that I really understood the purpose. And so I'd like to hear that from you, Rion.
Yeah, so I guess there are a few purposes, but the main purpose is, well, I shouldn't even say the main purpose because I haven't really thought that deeply about it to
oh dear,
order the purposes, but there are
rewind.
One of the main purposes, I'll say, is frankly to have more pressure on the incubator itself. So everybody knows that when you have to prepare to present something, whether that's teaching a topic or giving demos or whatever, just having an interview about something, you tend to work harder and prepare more for it. So one of the purposes of the incubator of these updates is to kind of see what the incubator is up to. Obviously, that's kind of the obvious purpose, is to bring to the forefront some of the more prominent projects that we're working on in the incubator, so that people don't have to wade through a huge Trello board wondering, well, it looks like they're doing a ton of stuff, but they look like they're doing a lot of stuff, and great, we'll keep voting yes for that. But I wanted to filter it down so that people had just a better idea of actually what we're doing. So the combination of those two things would be, we've got a lot of projects, but some of them don't turn out to be successful, and some of them do turn out to be successful, but nobody really knows what we're doing. And so we want to address both of those issues by having these weekly update meetings, so that we'll kind of bring certain projects out, demos, progress. It won't be very similar to the DCG updates bi-weekly. It won't be like status reports. It will mostly focus on demos, and these are going to be shorter, like half hour. So that's what we can expect here.
All right.
And I did want to say one thing about the little 5-minute intro.
I like that.
Obviously, this is a live show, so we want to give people some time to trickle in so that we have somewhat of a live audience, and hopefully everybody can ask some questions. I think that we'll see, or maybe you'll explain, Amanda, later. I see just now, Joelle just asked or a question, or let's see, we have updates.
It's a comment.
A comment. So Pete in the background is kind of looking at comments and posting some of them onto the screen. So we'll be addressing those. Now I'm forgetting what. Oh, I remember now. I'm coming back to the little video intro. So I wanted to make it clear, like, there is a purpose behind what we're doing. We're not just building a bunch of stuff just for fun, right? Although building and developing can be a lot of fun, but there's also a bigger purpose, and that's we have a monetary system that is failing at pretty much everybody that's involved with it, and we want to be the new monetary system. At least that's my personal purpose. Is I think that Dash has the potential to be the next free market money, and so these little video clips is just as we're waiting for the show to start, to give you an idea of what my purpose, my vision, my mission is in the Dash Incubator in general, and in Dash even more broadly. So there's little video clips from what I've picked up or what other people have picked up and given to me about what's going on in the monetary systems, and what our potential is. So just wanted to say a few things about that.
Yeah. The wording that you used when we discussed establishing this newsreel is we wanted to start the show with something that demonstrates the primary motive behind all the work. And it sure sets the context. I'll say that much. Pete, may I request that you bring up Splawick's question here in just a moment, right after we establish the beginnings of the incubator and basically just tell a brief history of then to now. The incubator can actually be said to have begun 3 years ago tomorrow. That was when the first payment from the Dash DAO was made to then Andy Freer, who had put in a proposal of this new thing. He called it the Dash Incubator. And the wording of his proposal was basically he wanted to create a sort of sandbox for developers to play on what was then, I think, just on testnet, the DCG product referred to as platform that was then on DevNet. And that was the beginnings of the incubator. And so walk us through, Rion, 3 years ago with that sort of stated scope to today.
Yeah. So actually, Andy's original vision, and this was his project. This originated with being called the Dash Platform Incubator.
Oh, that's right.
And now it's called the Dash Incubator more generally. The Dash Platform Incubator, as it began, was very much focused on building dApps, decentralized applications that leverage Dash Platform. For data storage, for payments, for authentication, that kind of stuff. And that's still our primary focus, but we're more broad now. We are, obviously, Dash Platform, 3 years ago, we expected Dash Platform to be out shortly, and it's still evolving, and hopefully we'll see that soon, but we've had to kind of adjust our mission, our focus accordingly. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I personally haven't been waiting around and just like knocking at the door saying, when's Dash Platform, when Dash Platform? Although I have done some of that, I have to admit. But I think that there's a lot that we can do outside of specifically Dash Platform. And so we've been doing a little bit of that. And we'll probably highlight some of those things in later episodes. I think just so everybody's clear, like this first episode is more or less history and just kind of introduction But in later episodes, we will be doing, bringing more of the coding to the forefront, and projects and demos and things like that. But this episode, I think, is mostly just about, kind of introducing everybody to what we're up to here.
Righteous. So let us go to Splawick's question, which is, Rion, what is the hardest thing you've managed to handle on the incubator so far?
Managed to handle is a funny way to put that, because I don't know if I'm managing it or not, but I'm handling it for sure. I think the most, one of the hardest things is there are a lot of developers who are interested in working for Dash, like probably more than I expected. But it's difficult to line them up with projects that can use their skills, and finding out what those skills are. So just general human resources. Like, I didn't imagine myself being a human resource guy, but that's one of my main challenges or responsibilities is just kind of directing all that energy and talent towards projects that add value to Dash. That's more difficult than it might seem. It's really easy to just throw some people some Dash for doing whatever, but it's more difficult to do the quality control. Specifications are very difficult. Like, what is this project supposed to accomplish, and the development. So I won't get into specifically what all of our task structure is right now, but what we call the production tasks, that can be some of the more straightforward work, what a lot of people might imagine to be the hardest work, but it's actually the in between, the before and after, that's more difficult, in my opinion.
Righteous. So this next question that has been submitted by the name of the person who submitted it is really timely for what we are going to show next week. As Rion mentioned, this week is primarily a hello and just who we are, where we came from. And next week is going to be a visual walkthrough of every online instance of Incubator presence, namely website. What's that for? A Trello board. Is that the same place? Is that something different? What's that for? Can I live chat with anybody to ask questions? What's this? What's that? And so we will for sure be getting that to you next week in a hopefully executable format so that you can get joined up as soon as possible if you are still interested. And so before we get to that next week, Rion, will you give us just a basic overview of like the humans who are involved? Is this like a board of 10 people? Is it Rion and everybody else? Is there a pyramid? Is there what is the structure?
Question. I'm actually just bringing up the Trello board right now just to get a number that's not right off the top of my head. I don't have it handy. But I just wanted to say, okay, so the human structure of the incubator is that we have over 200 people who have been or are involved or both in the incubator, 202 to be specific. Actually, no, let's see, 207, that many plus 202. So 207. So kind of a lot of people, and most of those are not active right now. I would say, if I had to guess, I'd probably say that we have maybe 30 active developers, and active is even very broad scale, sliding scale. There are some that are close to full time, like myself, and a few of our, at least one of our developers. And the overall structure is that we have contributors. I guess we'll call them roles. There's a few different roles. There's contributors, who is anybody that's involved with the incubator. There are, and that would include developers, obviously. And then a subset of those contributors, we have admins, who are basically project managers. They're called admins. Originally, I think they had admin rights on the Trello board. Basically, you can make tasks and approve tasks. And then more recently, in the past 6 months or so, past 4 months or so, we added a role called the strategist. And the strategist is kind of a more responsible role where you're directly interfacing with our masternode operators and owners.
So how many strategists do you have, and how many admins do you have?
I think there are probably about 10 admins, and there are certainly three strategists. So I'm the lead strategist, and that basically just means that I am requesting funds from the Dash DAO itself. Personally, my name is on the proposal. I'm taking full responsibility from a value standpoint. And then there are 2 additional strategists. One is Ash, who probably everybody knows here. And then another one is a guy named Tim. He goes by the handle Spectaprod. And so those are the 3 strategists. So you see their names on the proposals, and you see the projects that they are responsible for, that they kind of own. And hopefully people are kind of connecting that and seeing, okay, I like what Ash is doing, really like what Ash is doing. Ryan's doing some questionable things. I don't know what Tim's doing, or, those kind of questions. And so I wanted to spread out the responsibilities of the former role that was called the proposal owner into multiple people, because I was losing handle on what was going on in the incubator, because there are probably close to 100 projects that we've done over the years, and it's hard to kind of keep a handle on them. But if there are more people, then it's easier, obviously. And I'll just take this opportunity to say, if anybody is interested in either of or in any of these roles, just to answer that previous question that I don't know if we gave an answer, we kind of punted to the next week. We'll talk more about it then. But the easiest thing to do right now is to just DM me on Discord. You can to get started in the incubator. You obviously join the Trello board, and we'll talk more about that next week. That's one way to get my attention. The other way is to just send me a direct message on Discord. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Yep.
Direct message on Discord. Right on. So we have essentially covered everything that we were intending to cover this week. And going forward, we will know that at least one of the major goals of this series has been met. If anyone who's interested feels like they know how to essentially audit the incubator, either its output or its finances or both. And so in addition to, as we already said, we'll walk you step through step next week of like, how do I get involved potentially as a contributor, other than just sending a private message to Ryan, which actually probably sounds like the best way until he gets too swamped, in which case maybe a more systematic approach will be helpful. And so auditing and being able to join and basically anything else is the overall goal of the show. That sounded really dumb. I don't know. Am I missing anything, Ryan?
Well, I did want to say a little bit more about the history. I wanted to say thank you to Andy, first of all, for starting this, because it's a great project. I think it adds a lot.
Who is Andy? Who is this mythical?
Andy Freer, former CTO of Dash Core Group, I believe, and just general advocate of Dash. He's the one that handed the reins over to me, I guess probably a little over a year ago. And I just wanted to read the mission and the vision from our website rules page, because this was Andy's mission and vision. I haven't changed anything. And it says our mission is to find, support, and fund the most promising developers and entrepreneurs to build and grow the most innovative and user-friendly applications that maximize the use cases and utility of Dash. That's the mission. And then the vision, our vision is to grow Dash to become the #1 cryptocurrency for everyday payment by constantly innovating the fastest, easiest to use, and most cost-effective digital cash at global scale. So it's a little lengthy. I might consider paring that down in the future, but as I took over, I wanted to keep that same mission and vision. And the only major thing that I've changed is the big strategy portion. And that's, yeah, I guess there's a lot to say about that, but probably not right now. But I just wanted to kind of highlight that in that mission and vision, there's a lot to be said about entrepreneurship and innovation. And I think that's a big part of what we do and what we're trying to do is not only the development work, but also the entrepreneurship. So like if you have a business idea that you'd like to get off the ground, and you are using Dash technologies, come to us. We'll help you get funded. That's what an incubator is all about. Is you might be too small to walk and run, but we'll help you get to that point where you can be self-sufficient. So we have the funding available for that, and specifically projects that add users to Dash users, real utility use cases. The Dash isn't one of those projects that's just all about hype and pumping the price. We really want to have use cases of using Dash as money, as a means of exchange goods and services. So that's the purpose.
Right on. Well, we seem to have answered all the questions, except I think, did you say there was one more, Pete? One more question that we didn't get to? Oh.
Is that grapefruit soda?
It is not grapefruit, but are you ready for this? It's a combination of dragon fruit juice, watermelon, carrot, ginger, and turmeric, fermented into a delightfully tangy and sweet beverage that some call kombucha.
So I'm drinking water.
Okay. Very good. Well, thanks for joining us this week. Glad to see you all. We're pumped to launch this series on what is actually within 24 hours going to be the 3-year anniversary of Andy Freer launching the Dash Incubator on our network. So without any further ado, do join us next time, where we want you to bring your comments, your questions in real time. And we will put Ryan's Discord handle into the description box below so that you can send him private messages as instructed.
Private.
Righteous. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.